Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is your boy Dr. Rogers, a multiple scholarship winner and also research professor in Korea. Recently I tried out an experiment with myself. That is, it took me 1 year. I wanted to see how fast I can be able to write papers, because based on my passion, I'm pretty confident that I can write lots of good research papers. And sometimes passion is not just enough. You've got to carry out an experiment in order to determine whether you're really good at it or not. And within 1 year, I was able to publish 9 papers, 5 as the main author, and you have also the other 4 as co-authors, totally 9 papers. So I'm going to be sharing or giving you tips on the different types of research gaps, which is usually one very important aspect you ought to consider when you are writing research at any given period of time. So if you love this content, please keep watching and I'll tell you about the different types of research gaps. So there are 3 types of research gaps, because one thing which is usually very difficult for students is to be able to identify a research gap. And this is one aspect which a lot of journals, high impact level journals or very reputable journals in Nature, Sclavius and Springer's, they are looking for what is the research gap in what you are reporting. Because if there is no research gap that's been able to be identified, then it is not worth publishing the article. Be it a review paper, you need to identify a research gap, be it an original research, be it a comment paper, a perspective. There are so many kinds of papers, so you need to identify the research gap. And usually there are 3 types of research. They can be grouped into 3 groups. You have the evidence research, you also have the knowledge gap, and the practical knowledge conflict. So the first part, I'm going to talk about the evidence gap. So within the evidence gap, you first of all gather a couple of studies that have been done in the past year, and then you should be able to point out with evidence that there is something lacking and your research is going to be adding that. For example, if you're writing about water or about soils, and you want to see soils are highly contaminated by, for example, microplastics, you need to check what other people have done, because if we are repeating the same thing, a lot of journals will not want to publish your work. So that is one aspect. The second aspect, which is the practical knowledge gap, is also, you're going to talk about serves as an inspiration for new research in the field. So something like most of the research has been done in the laboratory. For example, you want to test if drinking water is poisonous. In the lab, it's mostly, for example, in the lab they're using more of plants and all of that. So now in the field, you want to really test with organisms, something practical, to see if it is really dangerous or not. And I really love this aspect because, first of all, as a soil scientist, I love going to the field to correct samples. There are some people who are more into the lab work, in testing the theories and all of that. I love doing the practical part, so you pick the one that is good for you. Also, the knowledge gap. You can look at the knowledge gap, which is the second. I already talked the first category. The third category, the knowledge gap kind of gap, is the one whereby I already kind of picked it, mentioned in the previous part. Knowledge gap, like what is the contribution that previous researchers have added, and what are you going to be adding? So within these 3 gaps I have spoken, I'm going to make another video again, depending on how well this one does, to really properly explain all of this research gap. Keep watching. This has been your boy. Bye.